Are we supposed to
Kiss the bride. Well, welcome everybody. It's so nice to see family and friends here tonight, coming to celebrate my mother's life. The Country Club of Maryland was one of my mother's favorite places. It's Ken's favorite place too. They love to come here for dinner and to celebrate special occasions, and we've had many celebrations here. And in fact, they aren't here right now, but our servers tonight are Sophia and Phil, and they've been with us for many years, celebrating anniversaries and birthdays and everyday events. So we're happy that they're here to help us celebrate tonight. So as I was thinking about all the people that came here tonight, I think Ken here wins the award for coming the farthest, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, he came all the way from St. Simon's Island in Georgia, and I guess the second place goes to Karen and Jim, who drove here from Ohio. 6 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 hours. Wow. So, yeah.
Sharon and John from Pittsburgh.
And Sharon and John. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Pittsburgh.
You tried. It's not uncommon in this town.
Yes. You are here, Baltimore.
Steal what? Anyway, this is a much happier occasion than the last time we saw you all at the end of July, and we thank you all for coming together tonight and helping us. And so this is Sophia, and this is Phil. And so I wanted to say a couple of things tonight. They're going to give us a couple of minutes before, they're going to bring super salad, and then dinner will follow that, but they're giving us some time right now, and I thought if you wanted to, we could share some remembrances or anecdotes or little stories about my mother that, if you feel like talking, with the group tonight. And I thought I would get things started by telling a little story about my mother. I can do this now because she's not here. But my mother did not look her age. So no one knew that she was almost 95. And in fact, my father didn't even know how old I was. My mother was 2 years older than my father, and my father did not find out that my mother was 2 years older than him until she retired and had to get Medicare and claim for Social Security.
Oh my God.
And so I remember when all this came up many years ago, and we looked at my father and we said, "You didn't know that she was 2 years older than her, or older than you?" And he just goes, "What can you do?"
Whatever, right?
Yeah. But anyway, she kept her age a secret, and those of you who were here in this room about 5 years ago for her 90th birthday party, you know that it wasn't a 90th birthday party. It was just a celebration. But anyway, speaking about her age, you know, her not looking her age went up right to the very last days of her life. And in fact, when she was in the hospital, no one could believe that she was almost 95. And in fact, much to my embarrassment, as my mother and I would go around the hospital in her wheelchair, we would go outside or go to various departments where she had to go. They would refer to her as my wife as her husband. And the first time it happened, I said, "Mom, did you hear that?" She goes, "Oh, no, they were just kidding. It didn't mean anything. They were just kidding." Anyway, the first time it happened 3 times in one day by 3 different people. And so anyway, she did not look her age, and that was
That's
certainly one of the
true.
things that defined her. And that's what I wanted to share with you all tonight. Susan, do you want to say anything?
Well, I do.
Okay.
I didn't know if I should go second because I don't want to repeat any
Okay.
stories that somebody might
Okay,
have.
why don't we go around the table this way?
'Cause I have plenty.
Don't feel pressure to say anything, but if you have anything you'd like to share, this would be the time to do it, so.
Well, I have something to say. Eleanor and Harry were our best friends, and Dad and I used to spend evenings there, Friday evening, and then Eleanor and Harry spent Friday evening with us, one or the other. Eleanor and I drank bourbon, and Harry and Dad drank scotch. I don't know when it changed to vodka. I think that was in the Sioux County days.
You could drink more of it.
That's all I want to say. Have some more.
All right, okay. Anyone else?
Well, one thing I remember, there was this wonderful cat, a marmalade cat named Patter that Harry and Eleanor had, and had been, she was a kitten and a Christmas present to Chippy when he was between 1 and 2 years old, I think. And they said in Christmas morning, this little cat's head came right out of the stocking and looked at Chippy.
I remember that.
Anyway, such a special kitten. And later on, while Eleanor was pregnant like this with Susan, we were visiting one time, and they lived on a state highway, their house. And Eleanor looked out the window and she goes, oh no! And the Patter was in the street, had been hit by a car. She ran downstairs and out. Everybody said, no, Eleanor, no. She ran out. She took that kitty out of the road. She says, I can't bear to see something more happen to her. Just no. Well, anyway, everything was okay, and Susan is here, so. So it all turned out okay. But this is a mother cat, and she was nursing kittens. So Eleanor continued to nurse these kittens with little baby bottles and milk.
She loved them.
Yeah, you probably had some of those kittens. Anyway, the other thing I want to say is that Eleanor and Uncle Harry were so pleased about Michael coming into the family. And I'm so happy that he arrived before they left. And I want to just say one more thing. When Susan and Michael were engaged, I said to Michael, you are marrying into a really, really nice family. He says, are you trying to convince me?
Well, what Karen hasn't told you is that we might seem nice on the surface, but we're pretty Chip and Susan can verify this, that our families used to go to Cape Cod in the summer, and we do some of the craziest things. Like play miniature golf, and everybody would get dressed up. And these outrageous outfits, and my younger brother, who is blind, would go, and he would have like 17 cameras around his neck. It was really, really funny. But we have so many memories of the family. And I have the distinction of knowing Aunt Eleanor the longest, because when Aunt Eleanor and Uncle Harry got married, I was 3 years old. And I remember her distinctly, and I know Chip has heard this story, when I was tiny and didn't want to eat my spinach. My Aunt Eleanor, we were up at our grandmother's house at the lake in New Jersey, Culver's Lake, and she said, now come on, she said, in her southern accent, she said, eat your caviar. And I always knew she talked different. She came from a different place. had that sweet accent, and I thought, well, where she comes from, they call spinach caviar. So, honestly, this is a true story. I was an adult before I knew that caviar was something different. Honestly, a true story.
That's a good one.
The big thing I would say about her is she was the epitome of a lady. She absolutely was. And my only funny story about her is I went over there when I had moved away from Loch Raven Village, and once in a while I'd stop in to see the Demarest and the Hughes, and I walked in one evening when it was time for vodka, and I think Harry and Eleanor had already had one, so they offered me a vodka, and I said, sure, I'll have one. And I forget what Harry said something, because he and I on the golf course used to have the greatest time, and she says, Harry Demarest, you're getting his drink, not me. That's not nice. That's exactly
Okay.
I just have two little short things. One, when I look at these really pretty little things that she painted, once Susan and I, and that was 21 years ago, more now, got to working together. Well, Susan was my supervisor, but we became more than just supervisor. She's my dearest friend. But her mom, Mrs. Demarest, would give me one of these things every year for Christmas. So I have quite a collection of not just Santas, but some angels, because I had some angels on my wall, and she knew about that. And so she painted me some cute little angel heads. And the other thing that I just remember clearly is that her penmanship is like the most beautiful in the whole world. And so I look forward to getting her Christmas cards every year, because she just wrote prettier than anyone that I ever remembered. I mean, in school today, they don't even teach cursive, but her handwriting was just so unique and so beautiful, and I cherish the memories I have of her. She's her and your father were just really
Method.
the Palmer method.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, not like that.
Susan has good handwriting.
Hers was on the chalkboard for many years.
We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with your parents, but I think it was Michael's birthday. It was here, a celebration here, and we picked them up and we brought them here for whatever reason. We had to be in the right place at the right time. Or something.
Right.
It was a
It's supposed to be a
So we
surprise.
picked them up, and I. The one thing that I remember, every time after I picked them up, every time I would see your mother, she would mention that your father just could not get over how clean my car was. So it never failed. I don't know, maybe their car wasn't clean, or I never rode in their car, but
No, it was a very admirable trait.
you know, he couldn't get over it. And so it was embarrassing, because every time I would see your mother, she would say, "So is your car clean?"
She liked to clean, Mr. Demarest. Yes, she's a very clean guy. Yes, Mr. Clean. Yes.
Well, he and I would have gotten along very well.
Good. You can come to my house, okay? Well, I don't even know where to begin, actually, because we spent an awful lot of time, you know, holidays and vacations and all.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod. But I know that Mrs. Demarest harassed my parents to the point where they finally got me my first dog. And she made,
That was Rocky.
yep.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I have to tell you a funny story though. And Rocky saved her life one year at Thanksgiving. Do you remember that, Susan? Okay, well, Mrs. Demarest is so funny. But anyway, this wasn't funny. We were all sitting at the Thanksgiving table, and my mom never wanted to, you know, she didn't want to compete with Mrs. Demarest's Christmas dinner, because we always had Thanksgiving and Christmas. So my mom always made like a filet mignon roast, and your mom would always make turkey. Well, we were eating the filet mignon, and Mrs. Demarest started choking on it. And
So she jumps up and she's choking and she runs into the kitchen. And Susan jumps up and she runs in the kitchen. And Rocky jumped up and he ran into the kitchen. And she coughed it up and Rocky caught it and ate it. And she goes, Rocky saved my life! We're all sitting there like in a panic. And she's like, Rocky saved our life! That's one of my favorite stories about her.
Well, I remember, of course,
You came in late.
I came into the picture late,
But you're still here.
Yes, you are.
but all my remembrances of our too few times together are all very fond. But I remember a Halloween party that we had. It was a costume party.
Oh, gosh.
And there was a prize to be given for whoever had the most original. And your mom and dad came dressed as a priest and nun. And as I recall, they did win the prize. But it was a marvelous costume.
Yes, they were so cute.
They looked convincing.
I have
I felt like
pictures of
I
that.
should go to confession, and get some remission. But anyway, it was a fun time, and I remember we all marched around the neighborhood.
We went up
around the block.
Bel Air Road, actually, in our costumes.
Conga line of costumes, and it was a great time. But that's kind of like a standout memory of mine of a time that we had.
That's very smart. Well, when my sister and I were in 1st and 3rd grade, we spent a week or so with Harry and Eleanor. They were so nice to have us, and we were awful. Chippy was 2, and our parents were moving, so we were extra baggage. We got into a lot of mischief, but one of the good things that happened was, and Eleanor did some laundry. It was early spring, and I said, "Oh, I know how to hang up laundry on the clothesline." And she says, "Oh, okay." So I went out and I hung up all Chip's little shirts and everything, and they're all inside out. And I turned them right side out, and I hung them up. And I said, "I'm finished." And she says, "Oh, good." And I said, "Well." I turned all of Chippy's shirts right side out because they were inside out. And she says, I always turn them inside out so the sun doesn't fade them. She says, well, that's okay. Well, I was so concerned I ran outside. And I turned them inside out and hung them back up again.
Just a way of making it.
I don't have any stories to share. If I do, probably not worth sharing, but I do have some great memories of your mom and your dad. And I just thank everybody for the opportunity to be a part of your family.
Well, I was holding on my comments because I knew something would come up around the table about the holidays, because the holidays were always a big thing around our house, and I can't figure out whether Thanksgiving was bigger than Christmas or vice versa, but I always know that whenever it came to preparing a dinner, it was all hands on deck, and everybody had their assignments, and you pretty much were there at your mom's calling, and you do this, you do that, but she had control of the whole meal. And there are a lot of memories about the turkey. Every year there was always something about the turkey not being quite right. One in particular was the shriek I heard from my mom one year when she opened up the turkey to get it all ready, and there was no neck. Oh. There was no neck, and she was like, "There's no neck in this turkey!" And my dad and I were looking at each other like, what are we going to do? And so we're trying to think of what do we do. So we had to call the butcher up again. We had go get a neck for the turkey. I said, you can't have your turkey without a neck.
Boil the neck.
Right.
But I mean, the point being is my mom, she loved, and my dad, they loved to have people over as family to enjoy this holidays, and it was very special to them, and to get, you know, all the linens out. The linens had to be just right, and the napkins and the silver, and it was a big deal, and not just the whole, I guess everything looking just right, but it's just when everybody sat down and was together, that was a special moment, and you know, those are very fond memories for me, and I know it's special to my mom.
Yeah.
Well, I have at least one more story. So Ann's story about Rocky reminded me of this because animals always played a big role in our life as we were growing up. And in fact, that's probably one of the reasons that I became a biologist. And as any of you know, young boys who grew up to be biologists will collect anything that's alive and bring it home. So I don't think there was one animal that was catchable by a little boy that was not caught and brought home. And I learned very quickly the principle about it being much easier to ask forgiveness than it was to ask permission. So I would just catch these animals and bring them home. Well, I remember one time we went up to our grandmother's house at the Culver Lake, and I had learned that you could catch bats that were hiding behind the shutters on the windows there. And so I, of course, wouldn't tell my parents that I was catching these bats, but I would catch these bats, bring them back here to Baltimore, and I would let them live in that little space in the window between the window pane and the screen. And then at nighttime, when I was doing my homework in my room, I would let the bats out to fly around the room. And I was just so happy.
Didn't know that one.
Well,
I didn't either.
well, one night, one of the bats flying around the room hit the bedroom door, fell down, crawled under the door, and then proceeded to fly downstairs and into the kitchen where my mother was cooking dinner. I didn't know this was happening. Of course, I was doing my homework, and all of a sudden I heard, "Chippy, I presume this bat in my kitchen is yours, and I'm trying to cook dinner. Get down here and catch it." Anyway, the point is that she was really tolerant about all this. She hated snakes with a passion, but I would bring snakes home, and she would put up with it.
Didn't you fill the dry sink with frogs?
Oh yeah, there was one time Susan and I brought 100 toads home. We put them in the utility sink in the basement, and didn't tell her, of course. She didn't find out until they all started croaking about 2 o'clock in the morning. And discovered a nightmare of 100 toads in the utility tub. But anyway, she was really tolerant about things like that. We had all kinds of birds. We had possums. We had, goodness, if it was alive and it could be, like I said, if it was alive and it could be caught, I brought it home, and she put up with it. So everything, you know. So anyway, she was very, very tolerant, although it was not her thing. So.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so I just wanted to say one other thing. Maybe, I don't know whether you all know this, but I'd just like to point this out to you. In 1938, when my mother had just graduated from high school, women did not have as many opportunities back then as they do today. And when my mother came from an impoverished family in Virginia, and right after she graduated from high school, she went to a school called the John C. Campbell Folk School in Brasstown, North Carolina. And she went to the school for a year under scholarship. And the John C. Campbell School, Folk School is it's a non-profit, non-competitive school that fosters and teaches and promotes Southern culture and crafts. And it was here at this school that my mother developed her appreciation for crafts and for making things. And I'm happy to say that Susan and I have worked with the John C. Campbell School, and we set up a named scholarship in her name at the school. And the scholarship will be used for helping other teachers attend the John C. Campbell School for instruction there. And I wanted to show you some of the things that my mother made when she was there in 1938. This is a cutting board that she carved in a carving class at the school. And this is actually a wool blanket that she wove when she was at the school. This is in pristine condition. And I'm also happy to say that the school has accepted both of these items to go into their history museum. Oh. And so these items will appear in the school's history museum with an attribution to my mother when she's here. And so I know the philanthropic season is coming up, and if you all don't have enough philanthropic recipients on your list, you can talk to Susan and I. We'll be happy to tell you how you can contribute to the scholarship if you'd like to remember our mother that way. So anyway, we're very happy that everyone came tonight, and we're especially happy to have John Bailey here. Yes. Because it almost didn't happen.
That's right.
So we're really happy to have you here, John.
Thank you.
And enjoy your dinner, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.